Yeah, I am right now on the Wi-Fi that's offered by the RV park that I'm in. I mean, I was, but I switched over to my hotspot from Verizon because it's a much better connection for this kind of usage. Oh, excuse me. Basically, tonight I'm RV Lady. This is Nana's Joy, and our this is going to be roaming. We're going to let her tell us about herself. She is an RVer. However, she's in Canada, where a lot of us are in the United States. And our topic for tonight is going to be the weather and RVing and some safety tips and things like that. Again, I'm RV Lady. And did I say that yet? Okay, and I'm so happy. Okay, Rowing RV.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your channel, your chats,
okay,
and what you think the difference is between a Canadian and an American RVer.
Full-time RVer.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Carol Ann. I have a blog called Roaming RV. You can find me on Twitter, RV Roaming, or Facebook, Roaming RV. And I mainly talk about, what I talk about is full-time RVing for Canadians. But a lot of things that we deal with, our friends to the south deal with the same. But we do have some challenges up here in terms of our home-based requirements, our insurance, our medical, and legalities that way. And of course, we want to head south in the wintertime to get away from the cooler weather or the cold weather. And we have a certain amount of time that we can actually be in the United States, or if we choose to even go further south, of course, we can go down into Mexico or further than that. However, our challenge is to be in our home province for the required amount of time. So that's what I write about. If you're interested, roamingrv.com. Yeah, we've talked, the RV Lady and myself have talked about different things in terms of home base and traveling and such, and insurance, and some of the differences. And it can get a little, our medical up here is provincial wide. You have private insurance, or it's not to do with each state, is it? Your medical
I'm sorry, I missed that question. Sorry.
We were talking last week, I think it was on my program, and our medical up here is provincial,
right,
where yours is not state, is it?
No, it's countrywide.
Right.
And you can actually get riders on insurance policies, to enter into another country. And it's basically the acknowledgement of the insurance company that you're going to be traveling out of the country.
Right. We can do that too. That's just a travel medical insurance. That's travel insurance. But our actual medical, we have to be in our home province a certain length of time each year. And that also applies to whether we leave our province and are staying within our country. So as an example, if you live in British Columbia, you have to be in British Columbia physically 6 months of the year. It doesn't matter whether you're in Alberta or Washington, you still have to be in your home province for a year. Now, there are things changing. A lot of the provinces now are putting an extra rider on, so you can ask for an exemption, so that, say you want to go traveling for 2 years, you can apply for an exemption so that you can try the full-timing. There's ways of getting around it. It's becoming easier. I used to be a full-timer and traveled. I was full-time actually probably off and on for close to 10 years. I've been back in a house for 3 years, but we have a big for sale sign in front of our house, and I'm going back into the RV this summer, full-time. So
Nice.
if anyone has any questions, I don't mind answering, but I don't want to take over your show. And I'll talk about my blab. We have one on Mondays at 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, and it's called Let's Talk About RVing. And everyone is welcome, Canadians and Americans, because we have similar issues and similar questions and concerns in regards to safety and, medical and traveling and solo RVing. I get a lot of people that are single asking questions, so we help each other out. The same as the RV lady does. I was hoping that Rob from the RV Travel Buddy would have joined us, but he might. You never know.
No, he is actually taking his wife to the airport.
Because she flies. Yeah. She goes from job to job.
He's going to join us another time.
Okay.
Do we have a link? Joe Match, I don't know what that means. Let me ask you this about Canadian travel.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's my understanding that you cannot have weapons of any kind. Is that correct?
Okay, we don't carry guns. That's not, Canadians just don't do it. However, I know it is a problem, or it's an issue for Americans coming up here who do carry guns. Now, it isn't that you can't carry guns, but there are certain guns that you're not allowed to bring into the country, and there's laws as to how the guns have to be handled, or in regards to the ammunition and the gun itself. So what I recommend is, and if you're going up to Alaska, which a lot of Americans do, they go through Alberta and British Columbia on their way to Alaska, and they assume because they're going to Alaska that the laws going through the province really doesn't apply to them, and that's not the case. You're still coming into a foreign country. Right. So contact the Canadian Border Services before you even leave home, and find out what you're allowed to bring in through Canada and what you're not. I know there's restrictions, and not that you can't bring them, but bows, they have to be, what you need to do is make sure that you let them know what you've got with you. Because if you lie and try and hide them, that's where you're going to get into trouble. And it isn't that you can't bring them, it's just that they have to be handled in a certain way, and certain guns, we're talking like machine guns and such, probably aren't allowed. So don't assume you can't bring them in because you've heard all these rumors and such.
I was just kind of curious as to,
just make sure that you're following the rules.
Because so many Americans. Yeah.
You know what? I'm not either, but I wouldn't want my vehicle to be confiscated at the border. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
That would be
ugly. And as a rule, we don't carry guns up here. So we're not familiar with it. We don't even think about it. But of course, the laws are different in the United States.
Yeah.
And the same as when we go to the United States, we sometimes assume that some of our laws are the same as American laws, and vice versa. And that's where you can get yourself into a little bit of hot water. So, but coming to Canada in your RV, I mean,
okay.
Absolutely.
Do you used to feel safe?
Absolutely. Use common sense, but you're going to find the people up here very friendly. There's all kinds of RV parks, from the very basic to the luxurious. Our provincial parks and state, like our federal parks, are absolutely beautiful. Our highways are good. We have beautiful weather. Where one of the Swill Pup 63 is, she's in Chilliwack. Year round, she has beautiful weather. We can RV up here. We can full-time year round. In some of the northern parts of our provinces, of course, you have to make sure you've got 4-season units and winterized and skirting and such like that. But where she is in Chilliwack, I mean, I've lived full time down in the Lower Mainland, close to where she is, and with absolutely no problems. As in regards to safety, it's very safe up here. You're going to find the bank machines are everywhere. Canadians are big on debit cards. So there's ATM machines practically on every corner. You're going to find some of your favorite restaurants or the chain restaurants are up here. The same as what they are in the United States. Not all of them, but you'll find the basic ones. For the most part, the language is English, except in Quebec, it's French, but you will get by with English, no problem. Don't worry about the highways. The fuel is the same. Okay, the only thing you're going to find coming up here is expensive. Canada is a lot more expensive than the United States, but our Canadian dollar right now is so low that your dollar is going to go twice as far. Our fuel expenses are a lot more expensive than what yours are, the gas prices. But there again, because your dollar is much higher than ours is right now, this summer for Americans coming up into Canada is probably the perfect time to come because of the dollar situation.
Yeah, that's really true. And that's what I've heard, that, just going over there because the dollar's so strong right now against the Canadian. Well, cool. I'll probably drop in on your chat that is on Mondays. At what time? 4 o'clock Pacific?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You joined us last week. That was great. We had a lot of fun. Thank you very much. So unfortunately I have to go with my parents for dinner.
Thank you. Okay, you take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for inviting me. Okay, bye now. Oh, I'll give you guys all some claps. Bye.
Okay. Let me ask a question here. Okay, wait a minute. Can you see me, audience? The people over in the live chat, can you tell me if you can see me? I cannot see Nana's Joy. I can see Adele. Can you see Nana's Joy? Hello,
hi.
Adele.
I want to say hi to everybody in the audience, too. Looks like you've gotten a pretty good one.
Yeah. Oh, I think that it's a good topic. The weather and your RV, and it has actually affected me and my travel because I have decided that I am no longer going to stay in the East. Welcome back, Nana's Joy. Could you hear us? Oh, okay. I just didn't have your image up. I didn't know if you could hear us or not.
I could see it.
Yeah. Oh, you could? Okay. As I said, tonight's topic is going to be the weather and RVing. And one of my viewers sent me because it concerns me in that I am over here on the East Coast. I'm not really familiar with, it's just been a long time since I've been in tornado country, quite frankly. And so we had tropical storms from the El Nino effect come across Mexico and come up the Gulf and smack right into Florida, Alabama, Little Mississippi, and I think it affected the Carolinas and Virginia. But basically, that I was thinking it would happen later in the spring, and my theory was to go north and cut across. But I've decided to leave this area because I do not want my RV wrecked, quite frankly. And there are other things that I can do out west that are just as pleasing as what I was going to do here. Now, first of all, there are many websites. There are probably apps that you can add to your phone. The National Weather Service Weather Forecast Office offers a very, very good way for you to check the weather on whatever your route is. And you can also call the Highway Patrol or the state police for the state that you're in, and they will tell you about road closures and or anything that's going on weather-wise. This last storm affected the 10 coming across, runs east and west across the United States, and actually caused a few semi-trucks to get blown off the road. And you got to figure those things are way heavier than an RV, quite frankly. But the National Weather Service is part of NOAA, and you might want to see if they have an app or find a weather app if you can, to put it on your phone or whatever your device is, so that it can notify you. Of course, having a NOAA certified radio is always a good idea, because if you're not watching TV or if you're not listening to the radio, you may not realize that a tornado is heading your way. If you have an emergency radio, you can leave it so that it'll notify you when something's going on that you need to know about that has to do with where you are. Of course, what you should do as an RVer is respect nature, and you might want to delay your trip if you have to go through severe thunderstorms, or if there is any indication that there's going to be a tornado or really wicked weather on your route. If you can delay, always a good idea. As a full-time RVer, I don't have any problem in saying, oh, gee, I think I'll wait another day or two.
There's a
or four.
App.
And you have to
There's an app for your phone that's called Radar, and it is excellent. And it gives you the radar.
Oh.
It's a freebie that you can download to your smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that way it keeps you on top of what's going on with the weather. Because if you think about it, your RV is going to be closed up generally. You're not going to have the windows open. That makes it so that the pressure in the RV is different than outside. And I grew up in tornado country, kind of. And we were always told to open our windows to offset that pressure. So that you didn't get pushed all over, or your house didn't blow away, and that's when you see the weather reports where the house explodes, and that's because it's all closed up. And it might be beneficial for you to crack a few windows or a vent or something, so that you can even out that atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
And hi, Russ. The other thing is, so you can always delay. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know sometimes when you're on vacation, you're going on vacation, and then, a big weather storm or whatever comes up, you are inclined not to say, gee, I think I'll wait. You just want to go. And basically all you have to do is reroute around the storm. Or go part of the way and stop, on the edge of the storm. It's always a good idea. It's better to have your vacation while you're alive as opposed to dying on your way to your vacation. Okay.
I know we've taken the northern route, the middle route, and 10, 10, 40, and I don't know if it's 80 or 90. I'd have to look at my map.
80.
in Montana, we used to hit the wind would just, we have a Class C, 31 foot. And I mean, it was packed. It was probably overloaded many times, but the wind would whip us right off the road practically. And I know we'd have to slow down. Heck, we've gone 10 mile an hour before. And we've been in really bad windstorms out in the West, especially. They just come right at, you know. I did have to stay at Walmart one time because we'd gone into buy some things that we needed, and it was so windy. We left, but we turned. I said, "My God, Steve, please turn around because this thing's whipping us around." So we went back and asked him if we could stay, and he said, "Sure." He said,
"Yeah." And if you're going to proceed, you're going to want to know what direction the wind is coming from, so that when you do pull off the road, you can maybe get behind a building where the wind is hitting the front of the building, but you're in the back of the building, or even on the side of the building, and get as close to the building as possible. That way you've got some protection, unless of course the wall falls down or the building explodes. You know, the chances of that are less than you sitting out in the middle of a parking lot and a tornado touches down in the parking lot, because it's nice and flat. And that's what tornadoes like. They like that nice flatness, and then they can just keep on going. They don't have to jump over anything. And that's a really, really good question. SwillPup63 has asked, does insurance cover damage from tornadoes and storms? That is something that you're going to have to ask your insurance carrier specifically. And for example, I live in California. The chances of my RV being damaged during an earthquake is very low. But I asked the question, you know, am I covered for insurance? Am I covered for super inclement weather? And basically I'm covered. But, you know, this is something that you're going to have to ask your carrier specifically, and you may end up having to, you know, put a rider on, or, you know, some kind of addendum to, and pay a little bit more money in order to have that assurance that, and you're going to want, when you get the insurance, you're going to want to cover accommodations. You're going to want to make sure you have towing, cover the cost of whatever the salvage yard is going to want. These kinds of things, again, you go over with your insurance company, and then you're going to have to get home. And you're going to have to buy stuff because your toothbrush just sailed away with your RV. And so you're going to have that kind of reimbursement available to you. Or it's going to just put you out of an RV for a long time and into a hotel or a motel or something, a tent. But these storms are really serious, and we're entering into an El Nino year of storms, or this spring. They're supposed to be letting up, I guess, sometime July. But until then, the entire United States is in the path of a tornado, basically. And even in Southern California, we have had our tornadoes. Now, let me explain that to you. What we end up getting is, out in the Pacific, a water spout will start, which is basically a tornado with water and wind. And so what that does is it hits the coast, and it probably goes in, I don't know, I want to say less than a half a mile. And it can do a lot of damage because it had the high wind. But again, it doesn't go very far. And the only people who are really in play are those people who live directly on the coast. And if you live anywhere inland, it's not a problem. Yeah. Now we covered, getting an app, making sure that you have some way of finding out whether or not the weather ahead of you is going to be bad. See a big storm, dark clouds ahead of you, pull over and hide someplace, because you don't know which way that storm's coming. And it's usually coming, from the west to the east, or from the south up. So the other thing is, oftentimes some states offer those big signs that blink, and it will indicate that there is some kind of road hazard, generally, and that includes the weather. But is the way you should go, because I saw the pictures from the RV parks that were hit in Louisiana this past week, but I don't think there was an RV that made it out of there, and there were hundreds of them that were destroyed, hundreds of them, and a few people were killed. Speaking of which, you should also find out if the RV park or the area that you're in or whatever has some kind of shelter from the storms. And a lot of truck stops will, and there's always an avenue. You can call the local police department of the place where you are and say, I'm RVing through, I need a storm cellar somewhere, and they'll usually direct you to something or someplace that you can go, like below a library or below the municipal buildings, things like that. It's really important that you stay on top of it, and that you ask when you pull into an RV park whether or not they have some kind of storm shelter. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Since you've owned both types of RV, do you think the C is worse in the wind than the A?
No, not at all. The boxes on wheels, and there are some that have moved to a more aerodynamic front design, but for the most part, they're square. And square does not work well in a storm situation or in a wind situation. It just doesn't work. Now, some of you may, let me explain this. We are on YouTube, and and we make videos on YouTube regarding RVing. The reason why we don't do our hangouts on YouTube is because for some reason they think complicated is better. Yeah, I don't. So that's how we ended up over on Blab. Now, some of you that are familiar with YouTube might know Russ of RVer TV. And oh God, I just lost the thread as to what I wanted to say about Russ and RVer TV.
Was it the tabs that are on the side of his RV?
Yes. He got, he has a big, rectangle RV, as do I, and little tabs that you stick on your RV to make the RVs more aerodynamic. Wind, is channeled around your RV as opposed to just smacking it in the face. And so you might want to check with RVer TV, and I think it's a couple of $100 to get the devices, and you have to put them on. It shows you how to do it, and I can't remember. I think it's more than a couple hundred. It might be but you do the rear part of your RV, and I'm not sure why they don't do the the front of it, but truckers, you will see semi trucks with this same these little tabs that are on there. And Nana's Joy, I lost your video. Are you still there?
I can see her. I can see both of you.
Okay, I cannot see her, but I can see you. Okay. Anyway.
I'm disappearing.
Over in the comments section, you will see that RVer TV, his name's Russ, really nice guy, has put a link up to the video over on YouTube that he made regarding these things. And for a couple, $300-$400, whatever the cost may be, it's probably going to be worth it, especially to you people who live on the East Coast and summer and whatnot. Oh, $225.
And they're called air tabs.
Air tabs. Yeah, and for those of you who, again, over on YouTube, watch, what is it, Escapee 2012?
Yeah.
One Escapee 2012. She also did it to her RV like 6 months ago or something. And so you can also check out her channel to see. And she is a single woman who travels full-time, lives full-time in her RV. And, you know, she went ahead and put those on too. But I don't know that, I don't know. I'll have to ask her how much success or whatever she's had with those things, if she really thinks it helps. What Russ said in the video, which I found really fascinating, was that the wind wasn't blowing him around so much. And when the semi-trucks pass, it's not like they're pushing you off the road.
Yeah.
And everybody who drives RV knows that feeling. Yeah. And it honestly, it's the pressure, and you feel like they're going to push you right off the road. And Russ says they work great. Again, check out his channel, RVer TV, over on YouTube. They're called air tabs, and it might be really beneficial for you. Now, anybody have anything to add? Are we good?
I was going to ask Russ, do you get it at airtabs.com or can you get it at Amazon?
You can't get them on Amazon. I already looked. You have to get them at airtabs.com. There are other ones that are less expensive, but I think that the airtabs have that science down as far as making sure that the air, you know, after you drive it for 1,000 miles. And of course, you should buy extra in the event that you are driving down the road and you lose a few, or you go under a tree and you lose a few, which is more my style. And the other thing that you're really going to want to consider when you're going through a storm is that there could be hail. And as we all know, hail comes in different sizes and different speeds and can wickedly damage your RV. Yeah. The only thing that you can do is take cover, or, you know, don't go that way. You know, if hail is predicted, just say, oh, okay, well, we're going to stay here.
It helps if you pull over and stop so that you're not going fast and it coming at you.
Yeah.
If you stop, then it's just pounding on your roof. It's not taking out your windshield, ripping off your antennas or whatever. The other thing to consider now, most Highway Patrol and this NOAA article, this weather article, says that you're not supposed to pull underneath a bridge on the highway. And the reason being that you can cause an accident. And I can understand why it might not be beneficial in a tornado, but I would do it anyway if that was my only course of action. And then I'd get out of the RV and go hide in a ditch somewhere, maybe. But in the event of hail, be careful because people are going to stop, and they're going to stop in the lane you're in, or they're going to pull over, and you're still running down the road with 20,000 pounds or 15,000 pounds of vehicle that you have to be able to control in an icy environment. So you're going to want to go really, really, really slow if you have to go through that at all. And of course, get off the road is just what you should do. Again, I think we pretty much covered the wind factor. Again, a big building that you can hide behind and wait for the wind to die down. And not all high winds end up being tornadoes. Not all tornadoes have particularly high wind. Well, I guess they do, but not near you. How's that? So the next topic I want to cover is heavy rain and flooding. Now, unfortunately, our RVs do not float. So when you are in a heavy downpour, you're going to want to stop and seek shelter. The reason you want to do this is because of the weight of your vehicle. And what is that called? On the road.
Hydroplaning.
Yeah.
Yes, hydroplaning.
Yeah.
So your base, and it doesn't have anything to do with your tires. It has to do with the way the water goes underneath your tires, and it simply lifts the vehicle off the pavement. Not very much, just enough for you to lose control and then overcompensate or hit the brakes or something, and you're 20,000 pounds of danger at that point to other people and yourself, of course. The thing to do is, once again, heavy rain, get off the road, just pull over. Try not to pull over on the highway, but pull over on a ramp. Just because the semi trucks are going doesn't mean that you can do it too. And a lot of people base their RV driving on what semi trucks are doing. They're far more aerodynamic and they're way heavier. Mm-hmm. Their drivers are professionals in that field. They have faced climate situations before many times, I'm sure, in their lives. And it's not worth it to say, oh, well, that semi truck is going, I'm just going to go behind him. Because if he hydroplanes, that's like 50,000 pounds coming your way. So, and you see all the time where semi trucks jackknife and they close down the freeways and stuff like this. And that's because these guys are on deadline. They're trying to get their product to wherever it is, and that's their job. Okay, driving an RV to a vacation destination or to your home from a vacation destination, or you can pull over and wait. And it's not like your house isn't on wheels. It'll be very comfortable for you to wait and simply make a phone call that says you're going to be a little late because of weather.
The best possible thing you can do is if you're heading into storms, which usually you can tell.
Yeah.
You can get on the local radio stations and hear what they're saying, and then you can just say, well, it's going to hit here at about X number of time, and I'm getting off now before it gets bad. Find my spot, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah. Granny RV writes, has anybody ever experienced a flash flood? And basically, a flash flood brings with it a lot of rocks and mud and yuck. And when it hits you, you've been hit.
This one says
been known.
Tell us says in my bathroom.
But these flash floods have been known to actually carry vehicles away. If you are traveling somewhere and the signs are indicating that you are in a flash flood area, and you look up at the sky and it's blue and it's pretty and no problem, and it's not today, it could be that day. And what you want to do is pay attention to what's going on the sides, because that's where it's going to come from. Obviously, if it comes at you from the front, you're going to see it coming.
We were going home. I don't know, it was 3 years ago that Nashville got hit so bad. We were heading home, and we got up. We were on the 75, and we were getting onto the 24. And we got 50 miles down on the 24, and we stopped to get a bite to eat. And somebody in the restaurant said, "Where are you headed?" And I said, "Well, we're going up through Nashville." And they said, "No, they've shut the road. They've got a flash flood. They had a problem with the river, came right out of its banks, and there were people that were trapped and drowned. You know, they couldn't, they didn't get out of there. They didn't even get a chance to get out of their car." And they said, "That's all closed." So we drove the 50 miles back and took the 75 north.
Yeah. And that's basically what you have to do, is simply be flexible in your travel plans when you're RVing, because these are big boxes that we're driving down the road at 50, 60, whatever miles an hour.
Right.
And, all of that can be dangerous. A flash flood can bring full-grown trees with it.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how saturated the ground is. Once the ground stops sucking it up, it's on the top, and it's going to go somewhere. So you're really going to want to be cautious, and of course, don't go through a flash flood area at night.
Right.
And typically, you would explore the areas that you're going through prior to your trip. And so you would have a pretty good idea. Now, on the main roads, there will be areas where water will collect, and you have to go through it, and the big spray and the whole deal. Again, don't hit your brakes. Just go through it and take your foot off the gas. That's all you do. Once you're through it, then you can gas up again. But, that's if you haven't gotten off the road yet. And believe me, after you go through something like that, you're going to get off the road, because that is scary. That is really scary. When you feel that water pounding the bottom of your RV, it's coming up like, what is that?
Yeah.
A foot and a half. Very scary. And can do damage to the underside of your RV as well. And clean it at the same time. Okay, we answered that question. Yeah, if anybody wants to put in a comment or a question, for the panel, you do the /Q and then type out your question, and then it comes over to a separate area in Blab where we can see it much better. Adele is very good at watching what everybody is saying, and I'm really bad at it, so I have no idea what you're saying. Let's see, has anybody been in Kentucky? I was looking at land there. Yeah, Kentucky's very beautiful.
Yeah, that's Frida.
Yeah, Kentucky's very beautiful. Does it flood there? I think that every once in a while the rivers flood their banks.
Yeah, and they also get some tornadoes.
Really? I didn't know that.
So I think that's anywhere. Now, if you're up in the mountains, the Appalachians kind of protect us.
Right.
But I've had a tornado go right over my roof, and it got the barn right across the street.
Yeah.
So, it took the roof off. But
it's just
damaged.
Yeah, you simply have to keep yourself aware like you keep yourself aware of how much gas is in your gas tank, you
Yeah.
have to keep yourself aware of what the weather is and how that's going to affect you. Because if it affects you badly, you know, and you know in a really, really bad way.
Kentucky is a beautiful state, though. It has mountains and it has farms.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. It's green, green,
state.
green. I'm sure they still grow tobacco there. I like driving by tobacco fields. I think they're beautiful. But let's finish up this topic, which I'm sure that everybody has heard the story of if you're on the road and a tornado is coming at you or whatever, to abandon your vehicle and get into a culvert or a ditch or some kind of ravine. This is something you want to do at the absolute last resort. It's absolutely the last thing that you can think of to do. You want to make sure that you're far enough off the road so that if the wind picks up the vehicles that are left on the road, and I'm making assumptions here that you're driving down an interstate or something like that, you're going to want to make sure that the wind isn't going to push those vehicles or your RV on top of you.
Right.
And crush you because you're out there in a ravine or a culvert or whatever. So you're going to have to, you know, keep watching. I would suggest, and I've said this before, vital. Mine are literally in a pocket that I can grab them and walk out the door and put them on. During a tornado, high winds, all kinds of stuff is flying at you and it hurts. If you need to actually be able to see like where you're going or, you know, what's around you, you're going to need some way of seeing, and that way some kind of protective glass or protected, you know, something over your eyes is going to be very helpful. I mean, even if it's like a scuba mask, you're better off doing that, having nothing at all. And flying debris can kill you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, without a doubt, it absolutely can kill you. So, you know, I don't know that leaving your vehicle and getting into a ditch is necessarily going to save your life.
Yeah.
I think that, and the other thing you have to watch out for in a downpour, of course, is other people stopping in front of you because other people have stopped in front of them. You know, a bunch of people pull under the underpass and they're not going any further, or they pull off but they're under the underpass, and so that freaks the other drivers out. And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but heavy rains, you can't see sometimes you can't see out on the hood of your vehicle, you know, and driving a car. Your windshield wipers are very little help. And of course, you're breathing harder and harder and harder, and your glass will fog up, and then you're really in trouble. So if you insist on going, at least turn your defroster on. When your heart starts pumping and your breath comes quickly, when a person in the car or in the RV, you know, your windows don't start to fog up. But other than that, I think that jumping into I mean, if it's a deep ditch or a deep culvert, or a, you know, a ravine that's like right off the highway and you can trot yourself halfway down that ravine without falling all the rest of the way, I think that's a good recourse as opposed to staying in your vehicle. But for me, my inclination will be to stay in my vehicle and strap in and hope I don't get cut by glass when the tornado hits my RV. But, you know, we don't know what we're going to do in those situations, and that's why you have to be prepared for every conceivable scenario. everything. There's, it's not just about how much fuel you have and whether or not your RV is overheating. It's so many other things that keep you on your toes when you're RVing. And anybody who's been out there RVing for any length of time has experienced it, has absolutely experienced all of this. And okay, that's all I got. What time is it? Oh, it's not even 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions regarding, do you have a bag ready with emergency stuff for storms? Yes, I do. I have a bag that basically has some bathroom supplies and my heart medication. I don't have a jacket in there. I don't have a hairbrush in there. And it's just because, after a while, you kind of get sick of having this go bag. But what I have in there is identification, my, what are they called? The thing that licenses your vehicle? Registrations for my vehicles, my insurance information in that go bag. And I figure that I take my purse and my go bag and I get out. Nothing else in here is worth dying for. It isn't. I can call my insurance people and they'll take care of me. And I pay them a lot of money for that too. And I'm saying you can't get the cheapest insurance that you could possibly get and then expect them to come through when you're in a scenario like a tornado or high wind damage or whatever. High wind damage can actually rip your air conditioner off the top of your vehicle. Wouldn't that be fun?
And dump a whole lot of water in it.
Oh my.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things to consider. I wonder how you would handle a dog in a tornado.
Oh my.
I suppose it depends. It depends on the dog. It doesn't really matter how the dog's going to react because you're going to be dragging this dog behind you or just letting him out of the vehicle. So that the dog can find some place to hide because they instinctively can find stuff, or let them drag you to that place. The vehicle is just wrong. If you can pick them up, great. Pick them up, throw them in your go bag, and run. That's about the only thing that I can think of. Emergency bag. Yeah, you're gonna want to have.
You were dropped. She was dropped.
Here she comes.
I have two dogs myself, and I never really thought about having to. I could pick Buddy up, but Ladybug's gotten a little chunky.
If they weigh more than 10 pounds, you can't carry them during a tornado. You just can't. There's no way wind is going to let you carry something that's over 10 pounds.
Yeah.
No matter how much.
Kellis says to grab a blanket. At least you can throw a blanket over them to protect them a little bit.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, while they're still in the RV or when they get out?
No, you take it with you. And
when they're in the RV, I figure. Oh, no. I don't know.
That way they wouldn't struggle so much, probably, if you wrapped a blanket. That's really a good idea.
Yeah, even if you can get them out to follow you, generally they'll go where you go. Then just throw a blanket over them, so if things are flying around, they won't be hitting them and cutting them and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I doubt that they would leave the blanket on. It's interesting how instinctive animals are regarding nature And, you know, the thing you're going to have to worry about is that dog that is, you know, 10 pounds to 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Because the wind could literally pick up the dog and take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting a leash on, and of course having identification on the dog's collar, muy importante. You people with cats, throw them in the carrier. That's about the only thing that you can do is throw them in a bag, throw them in a carrier, you know, just so that you can go. That's, you know, cats get afraid, and I don't care how much they love you, they're going to scratch the crap out of you in order to save their own lives. And so, but the problem with cats is that they're a little harder to retrieve. You know, it's after the blow has ended, etc. It's not like you can go out and say, you know, cat's name, come here. I mean, some cats will come, some will not. Some will stay hidden for a long time. Same with dogs. They'll stay hidden for a long time because just because it stopped blowing doesn't mean the danger has ended. And if they're in a secure place, that's where they're going to stay. Let's see, what does all this say? Xanadu. What does that say? I don't know. I heard strong going to get into that. You should get low like in a ditch. If you're dragging your dog, she probably will stop the ditch, but keep going. Yeah. I mean, it's it's going to be one of those things that, you know, if you have a big dog and you might want to get one of those, you know, the chips can locate your dog wherever it is.
Yeah, microchip. Yeah.
If your dog isn't chipped, you're probably going to want to chip your dog. Basically so that you can call the service and say, can you please locate my dog for me? If they offer that. Sometimes what happens with those chips is they simply offer you the service of, if your dog gets picked up by the pound or something, that they can wave a wand over it and find out that the animal is chipped. Mm-hmm. But you can actually get a company that will do a like computer locate satellite something, and it costs, you know, probably like 10. I think you only get to use it like 3 times. But in that particular scenario, it would be very, very helpful. And worth it.
Doesn't Escape, what's her name? Escape 2012. She, her dog, she has
I never did. I think
a beeper. She had a beeper, and then she
GPS could locator. Something for him. Yeah, but it only tracks the dog up to like 350 or 500 feet.
Yeah, it's a short pier. It's a short ways.
Yeah, and they're expensive. And if you have an animal and you investigate that satellite thing, I had it for Ruby, and you investigate that satellite thing, then you know, it'll help you find your dog.
Right.
Or your cat. I suppose you can chip a cat that way too. And you can find your animal. And basically what they do is they narrow it down to like a quarter of a mile. Now, if anybody's ever walked a quarter of a mile, it's a lot. And so, but at least you can go there and call the dog, and the dog can hear you in a quarter of a mile, and so can a cat. So, oh God, I have this thing. I have a pinched nerve, and basically what's happening to me is that I have a tickle in my ear. My 2 fingers on my left hand are pins and needles all the time. My elbow tingles, and my throat tickles. So I got a tickle here and a tickle here. And so I went to the chiropractor. I've gone twice and been adjusted. And, you know, I keep waiting for the ear well. I don't have any problem with the ear. I have very little numbness, tingling in my fingers now. But I still have this tickle, and it's weird because I don't like cough or have tickles. Every dog should be chipped. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? The weather and your RV, where where you would go, something like that. I'd go anywhere. I'd drive up to somebody's house and say, hey, can I park on the other side of your barn? I wouldn't have any problem with that at all. And what's really interesting, barns are like the first thing to go. But, I would probably drive my RV into a ditch, just to give it something. It only goes so far when it goes over, if it doesn't lift up and take off. But, we all hope that none of these things will ever happen to us. Yeah. But you can't predict the future, and you can't predict the weather. Well, they try. What about pulling a trailer in inclement weather? Is there a problem with fishtailing? Yes. It depends on your hitch, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have the anti-sway on your hitch, what will happen is if the wind catches you, it takes you and your trailer, and it can sway both of you as you are going down the road, which is pretty scary. And again, when you're towing a trailer, your trailer is way bigger than whatever it is that you're towing it with, whether it be a car or a truck. And Russ says that the air tabs also work on trailers. Yeah, interesting. And so, you might want to look into that. If I had a trailer, I would put air tabs on it. Absolutely. And I have been in that scenario as a small child with my grandparents, and we were going wherever and pulling a trailer and out of a tunnel. And when we did, the wind caught that trailer, and this was before, of course, anti-sway. And that trailer started going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, in the event that this happens to you, you don't go slower, you go faster. And I know that sounds insane, but that's what you do, and God help you if you're going downhill. You're going to want to go faster because it will then pull that trailer back behind your tow vehicle. But it's something to consider, and it is also important when you're loading your trailer or your RV that you don't overweigh it or put more stuff in it than you actually need. Mm-hmm. Because that will all contribute. And if anything gets loose and you're in a swaying situation and that item happens to be heavy, it's not going to help you. So, if it's a chair that you just said, oh, I'm not going to bolt this down, it's not going to go anywhere, and it starts flying all over your trailer or your RV, yeah, it can get bad. It can get bad really fast. And that's the other thing. When you are driving any kind of vehicle, car, doesn't matter, truck, RV, you're going to want to make sure that all of the items that could smack you in the head are, put away or, glued down or something. Yeah. Because when you slam on the brakes, and everybody knows this, physics, everything goes forward. And so as the driver, even though you may have a seat that covers the back of your head, those things are still going to hit the back of your chair and scare the bejesus out of you, mm-hmm. if nothing else.
What I've heard about people that buy travel trailers, they buy them too big for their vehicle. Now, we have a 2010 Dodge Ram 5.7, and I think it says I could probably pull something that was 7,000 pounds. I wouldn't go there. Enough. I would want one under 5,000 because, you know, even though you have a braking system and everything,
Yeah.
you can be pushed. We've been pushed off the road by a travel trailer before on gravel. You know, someone was taking up the biggest part of the road, and we're going around a real sharp turn, and we went over because the travel trailer
and the trailer slides.
Yeah.
It's very, very frightening.
Display and everything on it. It doesn't help in that type of
No, it doesn't.
situation.
Yeah, that's, you know, something that as a driver of an RV or the support system for the driver of the RV, you really have to, as many eyes as you can have out there looking forward is what you want. And so, or looking to the side when you're running through inclement weather. And she's back. And I don't know if every once in a while you two like go out, and then I'm thinking it's me, but I keep talking anyway.
Well, you do disappear, but you come back. So
okay.
We hear you. We're having conversation just like you were visible. So.
Yeah, it's the same with you guys. You know, let's see. I see that some of you have added your experience in driving RVs or trailers on the back of vans or whatever the case may be. And this is something that can absolutely happen to you. This is not something that happens to other people. This is something, if you are in an RV and if you tow a vehicle of any kind, this can happen to you. And, oh yeah, that's really true, Russ. Gee, I wish you were a woman, Russ, so that you could be RV Women Hangout. What he has just put in the comment section is don't forget the escape windows. Know how your escape window works. Did you say that?
My butt's too big to go in the escape window. What is that? I don't think I could get through the escape window.
You know, what's really interesting about adrenaline is, you will get through it, and you will think later, how did I do that?
Well, I'd probably fall on my head and break my neck. I just don't know. You know, here you are hanging out this thing. If someone doesn't come and help you,
then you throw yourself on the ground and pick up your broken bones and run. That's all you can do. Yeah. Or throw the pillows that are on the bed out the window first and then jump on those.
That's a good idea.
You know, if it thought before you actually have to do it, and with less injuries, you know, cover up with a quilt or whatever's on your bed and jump out the window. You know, that way you won't cut yourself on the glass or whatever is on the roadway, little stones or whatever the case may be, in order to, you know, keep yourself from getting injured. There's always a way to do stuff. It's just the preparation that you need to do far in advance and continually remind yourself so that you can take the appropriate action. You know, you should continually remind yourself once a week, how does my back window work?
Have you ever undone your back window? Can you get it back in? See, okay, I've never opened my safety.
You guys are frozen. Somebody's
window.
Frozen. What is this?
Start over, Adele. We didn't get it.
What is this? Adele makes sure connection isn't blocked by a firewall. Okay, I don't know
Is
what
that
that
the only
means,
one that's
but
still
we're
on
getting
here?
firewall,
Well, if I'm
or
gone
at
and
least
they're
I
gone,
am.
I
I'm
don't
going to
know which.
reset. I'll be right back
Looks like they're gone.
because I don't think I'm doing anything anyway.
Can
No.
everybody see me?
We're having some difficulties here.
Hello?
There you are.
Hello?
Oh, I was just talking about, I was trying
Right,
to
we
see
didn't
what
get
Adele
any
was
of what
saying,
you
or
said.
trying to hear what Adele was saying.
We didn't get
And then I got dumped out of the system. So, oh, now Adele's out. One person calling in.
No, Nana's out.
Oh, Nana's out. Yeah, there you are. Okay, you were down here, so that's why I was
Yeah.
looking. Okay.
I'm
So I guess it's the internet in.
we didn't
Can you
get
still
any,
see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
see you. I wanted to tell Adele, we didn't get anything you said. So repeat.
Oh, I was saying,
Yeah, repeat.
I have an emergency window in my bedroom, but I've never popped it out to see if I can put it back in. You know, what I'm wondering, do I have to buy a new window?
I don't know. I wouldn't pop mine out.
Does it hang there, you know?
No, it's on a hinge. I mean, I'm not saying that for all RVs. My RV window is on a hinge. So you push it open and the glass doesn't come out of the window. Can you guys still hear me? Am I talking
Yeah.
to no one?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Russ says that it is reusable. These windows, if you pop them out, they're reusable. Of course, as long as you don't break them. Be my luck, the thing would fall right out. About $500 or more.
It's driving me crazy. Yeah. But you've got to decide what's more important. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Your
good.
life or your $500, I guess. Yeah.
Decide what's more important. Your ability to be able to get out that window, or at least know how to open it so that you can, in an adrenaline situation, throw yourself out of it.
You have a window tool, you can knock out any window, even your windshield.
Little hammers.
Yeah.
We bought that when we saw so many babies and being, dead in cars. I told my husband, I said, we need to get one of those just in case we see something like that on the road.
You're right. You're right. I need one of those too.
It's just a little hammer that we have.
Yeah. Oh, you just have the hammer? You don't have the actual tool?
Well, I think it is the tool, but it looks like a hammer.
I have that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a hammer in here.
I'm sure it'll do the job.
Have the point on the hammer part. Instead of being flat that you hit, it's pointed.
Oh, like a rock hammer.
Well, it's a little different than a rock hammer. It looks like a hammer, flat. Normally they're flat, but this comes out to a point, like a pyramid, or it's out to a point. So when you hit the glass, it breaks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, something that has a point on it that can take all of the impact that you're throwing at it. If you hit it with a regular hammer, then the hammer has a head on it that would disperse your, your throw at it, or whatever that's called, your hammering at it.
Yeah.
But, it's amazing, and I've been in situations where adrenaline is in play, and it's amazing what you can do.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It shocks me. And, but, another reason to know what you're going to do in case of fill in the blank. Stuff like that. And in your RV, just like your home, you take things for granted. You may take for granted, you have a fire extinguisher. Where are your fire extinguishers? Yeah, it's right by the stove. How do you get it off? Oh, I don't know.
Right.
These are things that you really have to know how to do. In my RV, they have round, like plastic tabs on them, and you have to pull that tab in order to get the fire extinguisher out.
Right.
So, you can yank on it all day and it ain't coming. That's what's worked. I mean, this is what it's designed to do. You pull that plastic tab and your fire extinguisher comes off. And then if you don't know how to use your fire extinguisher, that's like a whole new thing. So read the directions, know what's going on, buy an extra fire extinguisher to play with,
Right.
invite people over, let them play with it too. That makes it a learning thing for everybody. And Granny RV has put up an escape video. I'm assuming that is about escaping an RV. Am I right by assuming that, Granny RV?
Yeah, I think that's what I've been talking about.
Okay. Typically, what I would do is open up that in another tab. We're already having so many issues with the internet that, I don't think I should press it. And I'm on Verizon. This is pretty much what I expect to get from the RV park that I'm in, their Wi-Fi. Well, we've got about 18 minutes left. We'll take questions on any topic. It does not have to be on the weather, but I hope that the conversation on the weather has caused you to pay attention to more than when you're going on vacation, how much suntan lotion should I bring? That, there are things that are going to save your life. And, but you have to help yourself save your own life and that of the people traveling with you. Everybody should be aware of, in this scenario, we are all going to do this or that. And it's like in my RV, and I'm sure with many RVs, except for Class C's, I've only got the one door. Okay, I don't have doors that open on in the front, like say a Class C would have, or some Class A's will have, the driver will have a door so that they can get out and fill gas or whatever. And, it's really important home that you know exactly what you're going to do in any particular scenario. If the thing's on fire, get down, crawl, whatever. Get out. These things are really vital for you to be able to know in advance so that you can react to the scenario almost as habit, as opposed to, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what's going on. Because there's shock and adrenaline, and you're dealing with that. And, don't cry. You can always cry later. Don't cry about stuff. Just get it done. And then you can always, that's always been my scenario, my rule of thumb is there's no sense in crying. You can cry and have a breakdown later. And God knows I've had those. Like when your kids get hurt or whatever, they're bleeding in front of you and you've got to get them to the emergency room and stuff like that. There's no sense in crying with them. You have to be stoic. And then you can have a glass of wine and whatever later and, have a complete meltdown many times. But, basically know what's going to happen. How you're going to react in any given situation. And I guess that's it. Anybody else have any questions? We've got about 9 minutes left.
I got a question. A question for you and for Russ, because I know he did it too. Okay. The coating your roof. Yeah. Where did you get your coating? You and Russ both. Where did you get your coating? Did they come from Camping World, and what brand?
I bought mine on Amazon, and all you have to do is type in rubber roof coating, and Amazon will thing that you could possibly think of that you need in order to do your roof. And basically, oh, you bought it at Lowe's, Russ? Oh my God, you paid so much. If you go to Camping World, if you go to, well, Home Depot doesn't carry the brands, but if somebody can go on to, not on the panel, go on to Amazon.com and just type in rubber roof coating. And I can't remember what the brand is, but I'd know it if I heard it. And
Russ says $31 a gallon.
Oh, that's not too bad for Lowe's. But what is it?
I paid
$400
for a 5-gallon bucket, I think, and it was here the next day. I went to YouTube, did a video search on YouTube. They showed me how to use it, gave me a good product, and I bought it that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I just went on Amazon and literally typed in, recoating my RV's rubber roof. And now this RV that I'm in now, this Class A, Dicor. That's it. It's Dicor. Cool Seal is also on Amazon, but it isn't as well recommended as Dicor is. Dicor is like that industry standard that everybody should do their roof in. And I don't have stock in Dicor or anything, but I bought I want to say it was a 3-gallon bucket. It might have been 5. I don't really remember, of Dicor, and used 3/4 of it. There was some left without doubt, and I put 7 coats on it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was some ridiculous amount of coats. I put a lot on it, and that was because it was a rubber roof, and rubber roofs have like a sheet of rubber over plywood.
Right.
And if that rubber membrane, deteriorates, which it's not supposed to do, or gets a cut in it, you hit a tree branch and it, rips your roof, then that plywood is exposed, and you may or may not know it, and it gets wet, and just like all wood, dry rot sets in, and you end up having to replace your entire roof.
Right.
So, that's why Henry's is no good either. I actually started with Henry's, interestingly enough, before I fell off the Class C and broke my arm and shoulder. I used Henry's in work on the top of my RV. And I wrote to Henry's to get a refund, and they said they do not guarantee, or this product is not made for RVs. This is made for roofs. And so it is not made, it doesn't have the elasticity necessary to be on an RV. And so I spent 2 gallons worth of Henry's. And of course, I'm never buying another Henry's product in my entire life, and I do not like Henry's products. And I really think they should have at least refunded half my money, but it really made me mad. And I bought that at Home Depot, and it was recommended to me from one of the sales associates that it was what I needed. Cool Seal is a good brand, but it doesn't have the elasticity, and that's not what it's called. It's actually called something else. It doesn't have the same as Dicor. And there's a lot to consider if you're like redoing a roof. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 38-foot RV, and I know Russ's is pretty.
Yeah, you're going to use 5 gallons. I mean, I'm one of those people that if I buy it, I'm using it, or I'm giving it to somebody so that they can use it. And so basically I gave what I had left away somebody who needed, they had like a mobile home.
Right.
So they were asking me about it, and I said, here, try this. Yes. And last and that's decor. And I know this because I researched the crap out of it after the Henry deal. And I sell decor for probably $20 a gallon more than you can get it on Amazon. Same with the. Is anybody else losing? Oh,
RV lady, we cannot see you or Adele.
I can't see. I
can you
can't
hear us?
either of you.
Oh, can you? But I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see. I don't know if they can.
Audio only for you two.
Okay, it is. We only have 2 more minutes left anyway, so let's go ahead and wrap it
All right.
up. I think there's just audio only on probably all of us. And so I want to thank everybody for coming to the RV Women Hangout. For those of you who don't know and are new, you can find us over on YouTube. Just search our names that you see, or that you don't see. I'm RV Lady, and then there's Nana's Joy, and then Adele Teets, Teets. And we're all over on YouTube. We make videos and post them having to do with RVs. We do the RV Women Hangout every Sunday at 4 o'clock Pacific time and 7 o'clock Eastern time. And any woman who wants to if there's an open seat, can join the panel. Men can be in the comment section, but they're not allowed on the panel, and that's basically because we have found that there is a certain amount